Hail and welcome back to a new video, a game in which I played the Raptor variation of the Trumpowski attack. A variation that is named after a dinosaur for some reason, but I don't know. These variations get named weird stuff sometimes. It's a fun variation. Let's just get into the game. After d4, my opponent goes knight f6, bishop g5, the Trumpowski attack, and knight e4, h4. This is the Raptor variation, named so because it has a resemblance to the prehistoric beast. As you can see, this looks like a raptor. Definitely. My opponent goes d5, which is a line. The move that I know here is knight d2, another book move. This is all very good theory. Basically, when they go for this, you're supposed to develop the knight. They can take the bishop and get into some lines. Then you're gonna go here, here, here. Bishop here. You're gonna go for like a London-esque system, and you're gonna put pressure on the king side in the future. That's kind of what the point is. Or if they decide not to take your bishop and they develop with the bishop, you're gonna take the knight, take f3 here, here, and drop the bishop back, and then you get like a very large pawn mass on the king side. That's kind of some of the ideas of this. My opponent decides to take the knight. I go hg, of course, and my opponent goes e5, which is a move you're basically just forced to take here, because after here, the idea of e5 is that he's attacking this pawn and he's attacking this pawn, so I kind of have to part ways with one of them, and parting ways with my normal pawn is just kind of a bad idea. One of the top lines is e4. I guess that the idea is after takes I get like, oh my god, rook h5. Yeah, that's I might start playing that. That's a little fun. But what I normally do, I just take and develop my knight out like this. I'm just arguing that I have better development, and even though I have kind of a weak pawn on the e5 square, I have better development than him, and I might be able to win a pawn in the future, mainly this one. So my opponent draws attack with the queen. Not a very good move. It should stick around. You should try to like stick around here. I guess he was scared of some like e3 and like I want to develop my bishop with tempo, but then this pawn always hangs. I don't know. It gets dangerous for him if he goes for that, but it's playable, and I think this is what he was kind of afraid of. But either way, he goes back to d8 after some thought. I think this is where his theory ended. I'm not sure. I go e3. Always a good move, trying to get my bishop out. c5. Idea being that he actually kind of wants to play c4, and that looked a little bad to allow, so I just played c4 myself. b3 doesn't seem like the right move because it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really ask him any questions, and I think it's a waste of time. It does stop c4, but I do think it's a waste of time. c4 makes a lot more sense to me. My opponent goes here, and now I'm already winning. I already have a +2 advantage on move 9 out of this opening, and the reason why that's the case is because of this incredible rook. And the point is that the only way that I get an advantage, actually there's a couple ways to get an advantage. I either have bishop d3, queen b3, queen c2, queen b3, or cd being the best. And after cd, let's say bishop takes, I'm gonna go queen c2, attack this pawn. Let's say he actually kind of has to give it up, because if he plays like h6 or something, now I go long castles, and I'm actually just kind of, my development is so strong, and like, you know, it's bad when 5 of your 6 pieces are on the back rank, so that's kind of why I'm better here. But I don't go for that. Instead, I go bishop d3, which is one of the moves that keep advantage, but it keeps a smaller advantage. It's only plus 0.8 now. Still pretty good out of an opening, but not the best. And my opponent makes a bad move. My opponent makes a terrible move here. He plays the move g6. I already kind of knew this was wrong. I already knew this was wrong because I thought that g6 was just not really where the bishop needed to be. Kind of going on g7. It looks like kind of I don't know. I just had a feeling this was wrong. It's kind of hard to explain it in words, but I had a feeling this was wrong. So I decided to go with my plan pretty quickly. I went queen c2. I was going to kind of play this regardless of whatever he played. Like if he played like, I don't know, like anything, I would have played queen c2. unless he like hung a piece or something. And now actually what I'm threatening is very simple. I want to take. He's going to take back with the bishop, and I'm going to take this pawn. That's kind of the thing. Or if he takes back with the queen, I'll hit the queen first, and then I'll take this pawn. That's just what I'm threatening, and it's a plus 1.3 position. That's why the Raptor variation is amazing. Great opening. Highly recommend for like anyone like 1700 plus that like knows how to like attack and stuff. This is a very attacking opening. This game is a little more positional, but normally gets into some attacking positions. Now bishop g7, and he just gives me this tactic, and queen takes. Not a very good move because now I centralize my bishop. Queen is forced to come back here, otherwise I win this pawn. The queen actually has no squares where it can continue to guard this pawn, and yeah, I'm just gonna pick up a pawn, and I thought, okay, well, I take the pawn. I take the pawn. Nothing can be better. I don't think anything can really be better than that. Like what? Like the computer says knight g5 and just like win on the spot. It's plus like 3. Like if he plays h6, it's plus 5 or something. Except for knight e6, queen e6, you have bishop b7, and after knight e6, like pawn e6, you just have this check, and like you're gonna pick up everything. Like here, I mean. Like what? What are we even analyzing right now? I didn't really go that like aggressive. I should have, but either way, I took on c5. Can't be that bad of a move. It's plus 1.5, and I'm stopping him from castling. I thought it was pretty good. My opponent drops back with a bishop. Okay, interesting move. I don't know, you kind of already developed it, so going back is not that good, and now, like, your king just can't castle anyway, so I drop my queen back to c3. Thought this was pretty decent. I could drop my queen to c4, to d4, and ask for a queen trade. It's queen d4 and queen c3 are literally equal on Stockfish. Queen d4 is plus 0.01 time better than queen c3. So it really doesn't matter which I chose. But queen c3, my opponent develops his knight. Okay, he's threatening like some weird this in the future. I don't want to be a part of that. So I just played a3 like pretty quickly. I mean, like I gotta stop this. I can't allow bishop b4. I guess technically I could have played queen d4 now and went for this, but I didn't really see it, and a3 just seemed very natural. So I just played a3. I know I'm better. My opponent does get a little bit of an initiative with this move, rook c8. I play a bad move. I play queen d3. I should have played queen d4, and I actually kind of started beating myself up during the game for not playing this move because, of course, queen d4, after the queen trade, I undouble my pawns, and I'm just doing much better. The reason why queen d3 is bad is because now after takes, bishop takes, my pawns are still a weakness, and it's +1, but it's kind of an obscure +1. Like, I might be losing this pawn in the future. I don't know. It's just a worse variation. But fortunately for my opponent, goes here and makes a great mistake, and I'm like, okay, well, if you're giving me another pawn, why not take it? Let's go queen b4. Why not take it? Queen b5 check. Take the pawn. Another pawn. I love pawns. Pawns are my favorite thing ever. They're great. Anyone who doesn't agree with me can, I don't know, have your own opinion. I respect your opinion. Queen b7. My opponent goes knight c5. Reasonable move, trying to develop his knight. He's down 2 pawns. He's gonna play for like something. I take his queen, takes, and I castle. I could have not castled, but I didn't want to be a part of any like checks in the future, so just castles. Nothing to really be, nothing to write home about there. Opponent develops his bishop. I go b4, trying to induce him to take my bishop because I kind of wanted the pressure to be relieved, and he does, so I recapture. Very nice. He castles, of course, and now I had a predicament about about how I wanted to put my knight on this square, because I wanted to put my knight on c4, c5. I thought it would be a good square. This square is interesting, but there might be some tactics in the future with like bishop takes here. And I mean, like, really, I really don't want to get into any tactics. If my opponent has any chances, then I'm playing poorly, so I don't want to get into any of that. So knight c5 seemed like a great place to put my knight. But the question was, should I trade rooks first and then put my knight on c5, or should I just put my knight on c5 first? And I kind of decided to trade rooks first. This is correct. If I go knight c5 immediately, it's not that good. But trading rooks first is good, because after here, takes, he has one rook, and I thought knight c5 made lots of sense. It's slightly better than the other line. It's plus 0.7 better than the other line. So that's pretty good, sizable thing. But now what my opponent goes to do, he goes bishop g4. Obviously threatening takes and takes. He wants to get one of his pawns back and have a very interesting position. Yeah, he plays bishop g4. I have a very interesting idea. It's the best move. I'm actually kind of proud of this move. It's the move rook d1. And the idea is that after takes, I'm going to give this check. He's going to have to block with the bishop. And then I'm just going to take back. Or I'm going to play knight d7, but I'm probably going to take back. Knight d7 isn't as good in my opinion. But I'm just going to take the bishop. Right, I'm just going to take the bishop. He's got some issues. I thought king g7 here, and then like rook d7 stuff. And like, my opponent is forced to trade rooks, and this position is really, really good for me. So instead of doing that, my opponent decides to stop it. My opponent decides to just stop it in general with this move, rook c8. Good move, good move. I mean, like, I'm threatening a lot of stuff here. Don't want him to have any fun. Don't want me to have any fun. But the issue with rook c8 is that now you give me a tempo, I can defend my pawn. And bishop takes knight here doesn't really have any effect anymore, so I'm all good. And my opponent goes back to f8. Okay, I don't really get it. I don't think it's that good of a move. I just centralized my knight. Okay, no need to really do anything here. Like if he takes, I'm just gonna take back with a rook probably, and any rook trade I'm winning. So I'm not sure about that move. It doesn't look that good to me. My opponent goes here. Again, okay, but now I'm like, wait a second, isn't the bishop trapped? f3? Like, he has to go here, and then I'm winning the pawn, right? Isn't that what's happening? He takes, okay, I take back. I don't want to lose my knight. He comes here because he has to. If he goes here, I'll probably just like because the f5 will probably just take it, and now he has bad pawns forever. I can even go like. Probably this move was fine, and like get into like some weird thing after here, and here, like getting like something like this. Even can I trade rooks here? Is this okay? No, it's not. Yeah, but I thought I could get into something like that. But instead, my opponent goes bishop back to the e6 square. The e6 square. I take it, takes back, recaptures here. And I'm able to get a rook trade, which is like everything I've ever wanted. I love trading the rooks in this position. 100 times out of 10, I do it. Like this is the perfect position to trade rooks. Now I'm just winning. Simplification, great. You can't dominate my knight, which is important. The thing that bishops can do is like if the knight is like, if the knight was on a light square, if the knight was on this square, nah, this is a bad example because the pawn defends. This is tough, but let's say for example this knight was here, and then this bishop was a light square bishop and was here. Knight would have no squares, and that's a thing that can happen pretty commonly. So you gotta be careful of that. You don't want your knight dominated. My opponent brings his king. I push my pawn. I want to solidify everything first, and then I want to start bringing my king. I want to do this. I want to go g4, and I'm up 2 pawns in an endgame. What could be more winning than that? Attacks my knight. Knight moves. Attacks my knight. Knight moves. Attacks the pawn. Here. Knight comes here. Looks like a pretty good square for my knight, kind of in the middle of everything. It's guarding 8 squares, which is pretty good. These squares kind of don't really count, but it's guarding those 6 squares, which is pretty good amount of squares for a knight to guard. Brings his king, I bring my king, brings his king, I bring my king. Just in time to defend my knight. Comes here. Now I give him this check. Very important. I thought that would make the most sense. Actually, knight g3 is slightly better for some reason. I guess king e4 and like 2 passers. But, I mean, this can't be wrong here. And I just brought my knight back, which is fine. Like, now my goal is just going to be like here, and maybe even I'll like wrap around here, defend this pawn, go here. I mean, like, it's winning. It's winning. I'm up 2 pawns in a knight versus bishop endgame. This is obviously winning. And so after the move knight g3, my opponent simply resigned the game, giving me a win, and continuing to kind of like even out at this like 2780, high 2180, or like high 2170 level, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, hopefully I'll hit 2200 soon. That'll be a video when I do. Either way, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this instructive, entertaining, all of the above. Yeah, good evening and good night.